Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In my last video, I gave my Whisplay chatbot access to OpenClaw, so I could control an AI agent with my voice. But there is one problem. Every time I gave it a task, I still have to wait quite a while for a response. Sometimes I have no idea if the agent was working or just getting stuck. That made me wonder, why should the chatbot just be a voice interface for an agent? What if the chatbot itself becomes an agent? A real assistant that could work with me and keep me updated while it is doing the job. To build this, I create a new version of the Whisplay chatbot with agent capabilities built in. For the hardware, I will using the same setup as the previous video. This time, I will focus mainly on the software. The first step is installing the new image on the Raspberry Pi. To get started, open the Whisplay AI Chatbot GitHub page and go to the Releases section on the right. You will find the latest preview image there, with all the necessary drivers and chatbot software already installed. Download the image, extract the file, and then use Raspberry Pi Imager to flash it onto your SD card. The image comes with the Whisplay daemon pre-installed, which provides a lightweight desktop experience built for this tiny display. Using just one button, you can navigate through the interface. A short press scrolls through the options, and a long press launches the selected app. You can either configure Wi-Fi through the PiSugar app or connect a Bluetooth keyboard and enter the Wi-Fi password directly from the mini desktop. Now we can configure the chatbot itself. Navigate to the Whisplay AI chatbot folder and execute the command Whisplay configure. I added an interaction configuration interface to simplify the setup and management of the chatbot. Before the chatbot can work, we need to configure the provider for ASR, LLM, and TTS. In this example, I will use OpenAI as the provider for all three components and enter the API key to connect the services. After saving the configuration, let's open the chatbot and test it. What do you know about Raspberry Pi?
Raspberry Pi is a series of small, affordable computers that have become really popular for education and DIY projects.
Do you know what's the time now?
I can't provide the current time directly, but you can check it quickly on your device or a clock nearby.
The basic chatbot is already working, but this is only the beginning. Let's return to the mini desktop by pressing the custom button on PiSugar and continue enabling the advanced features. This is where we added the ability to turn a normal chatbot into an AI agent. The first feature is harness tools. Since Raspberry Pi is already a Linux computer, the most important ability is giving the AI access to the command line. This allows the LLM to execute commands, interact with software, and controls the system instead of just generating text. The second feature is web search. Even powerful AI models have limited knowledge. With web search enabled, the chatbot can retrieve fresh information from the internet when it needs additional knowledge. The last feature is memory. A useful assistant shouldn't only answer one conversation at a time. It should remember previous interactions and understand the context of our conversations. With these three features enabled, harness tools, web search, and memory, the chatbot is no longer just a chatbot. It can understand, search, remember, and take actions. Now let's see what happens when we give it a real task. How much free disk space do we have?
We've got 23 gigabytes of free disk space available.
Do you know which system you are running on?
You're running on a Linux system with a kernel version 6.18.39. It's an ARM64 architecture.
Search for the latest Raspberry Pi news.
Here are some of the latest Raspberry Pi news. 1. The Raspberry Pi Imaging Tool version 2.0.11 has been released, featuring the new RPI pre-seed custom startup format. You can read more on Fohomwankuti at news.google.com. 2.4links has launched a new SBC, a Raspberry Pi alternative with a dual-core A53 processor supporting Linux. More details are available on Notebook Check CN at news.google.com. 3. The Raspberry Pi Touch Display 2 adds a new 10-inch version. Check it out on Sohu at news.google.com. Hope you find this exciting.
What did I ask you in the last conversation?
In the last chat, you asked about the amount of free disk space, which is 23 gigabytes. We also talked about your Linux system running on version 6.18.39 on an ARM64 architecture. You showed interest in Raspberry Pi news.
As you can see, online AI models are already surprisingly powerful. Once you gave them tools and system access, they can transform from a simple chatbot into an actual agent, capable of controlling the entire Raspberry Pi. But now comes the real challenge. What about a small AI model running completely offline? Can it still think, use tools, and complete tasks like a real agent? I decided to put the offline version of the chatbot to the test. Use the command line to check the system status. Local AI models face a different challenge. Because of their smaller size and limited knowledge, they can only handle relatively simple Linux commands.
Hello there. I can tell you that the assistant is running smoothly. Everything is working great. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
Use the command line tool to check the memory usage.
Oh, I see. I can check the memory usage for you. The system has 15 gigabytes of memory in total. It is currently using 8.5 gigabytes and has 348 megabytes free. There is also 2 gigabytes of swap space available. Hope that helps.
As you can see, it correctly reads the device memory usage. What is the most famous Hollywood movie right now?
That's a fun question. It changes all the time, but right now, there are lots of really popular movies. To give you the most up-to-date answer, I can search the web for you. Would you like me to do that?
Yes. I don't understand my question. It didn't actually provide an answer.
Oh, I see. Based on the search results, it looks like there are several lists for popular movies right now. The links point to Rotten Tomatoes, Television Stats, MDB, and others. If you want to know which one is most famous,
It found some possible links, but it didn't try to use them. Let me try one more simple task. How many files are there in my desktop?
I can certainly try to check that for you. Let me run a command to see the files on your desktop. I checked the files on your desktop and I only found one file named My New File. Is there anything else I can help you find or do for you today?
Based on my experiments, small offline models are not quite ready for complex agent tasks yet. They can work well with simple tools, but advanced workflows still requires more capable models. If you want to explore AI agent capabilities without paying for expensive API services, Xiaozhi is an interesting option. It provides online AI models and voice interaction services, while allowing us to connect our own local tools. Because Xiaozhi uses a completely different architecture, we need to set up Whisplay Xiaozhi app separate on the original image. Open the Whisplay Xiaozhi GitHub project and follow the installation instructions. After the installation, go to the .env file and enable the harness tools and web search features. Once the configuration is finished, launch the app. On the first startup, you will need to buy the device through the xiaozhi.me website. This service is currently free to use. After the device is successfully linked, let's take a look at how it performs. Check the current CPU temperature and available memory on this Raspberry Pi.
Got it? Your CPU temperature is 66.6 degrees Celsius, and you have 155 megabytes of memory available out of 415 megabytes total.
Create a file called Xiaozhi text.txt in my home directory, write hello from Xiaozhi agent into it, and then read it back to me.
Done. I created the file Xiaozhi_text_tst.txt in your home directory with the content hello from Xiaozhi agent and read it back. The file is ready.
Search the web for the latest Raspberry Pi model and briefly tell me its main features.
The latest Raspberry Pi model is the Raspberry Pi 5. Here are its main features. Pretty powerful for such a tiny board.
Create a short system report containing the hostname, uptime, CPU temperature, available memory, and free disk space. Save it as system report in my home directory, and then summarize the result for me. As you can see, Xiaozhi responds very quickly and can handle many agent-style tasks quite well. If you don't want to pay for API services, this is a great way to explore AI agent capabilities at a low cost. You can also give it more complex tasks. It can make multiple tool calls in sequence until it reaches the goal.
Done. I've created the system report and saved it to your home directory. Here's the summary. Your system hostname is Whisplay Basic. It's been running for 2 hours and 48 minutes. CPU temperature is at 68.8 degrees Celsius. You have 151 megabytes of memory available out of 415 megabytes total, and your disk has 22 gigabytes free out of 29 gigabytes. Everything looks healthy. Bye now, talk soon.
What did I ask you in the last conversation? Even better, it also comes with a built-in memory module.
In your last conversation, you asked me to check the CPU temperature and available memory on your Raspberry Pi. Create a text file with hello from Xiaozhi agent. Search for the latest Raspberry Pi model and create a system report with hostname, uptime, CPU temperature, memory, and disk space.
That's it. The Whisplay chatbot is no longer just a chatbot. It can now understand requests, access information, and take actions on the Raspberry Pi. Of course, there are still limitations. Small local models are not powerful enough for complex agent tasks. But this experiment shows something interesting. When you give an AI the right tools and permissions, even a tiny Raspberry Pi can become a surprisingly capable assistant. Maybe in the future, AI assistants not just live inside our phones or computers. They could be small devices that are always around us, helping us whenever we need them. The interesting part is not what it can do today, it's what we can build with it tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.